Y'all, I paid $673 for the Epic Universe non-private VIP tour. Was it worth it? Well, for me, yes, absolutely, 100%. But is it right for you? Maybe, or maybe not. But stick around to the end of the video and you'll know whether it's worth it or not for you. Okay, y'all, it's my first day at Epic Universe, so we are doing it right with a VIP tour. I just did early park admission at 9 a.m. and I was able to get on Minecart Madness in single rider, even with a ride delay, in 11 minutes. And then I did Yoshi's, and now I'm headed to my tour. My tour starts at 10, but they suggest that you arrive by 9:30ish. So, 9:30ish is when I'm arriving. Welcome, y'all. My name is Jeffrey. If you're new here, I am a full-time traveler and certified theme park and roller coaster nerd. And even though I spend an embarrassing amount of time in theme parks, I still had a really hard time pulling the trigger on spending this much money for a single day in a theme park. But clearly I did, so we're going to get into it. Now, it's important to note that this was the non-private tour. That meant that I was combined with strangers in group sizes up to, I think, 12 or 14. But they also offer private tours, and we'll get into more of the details of that later, but they're much more expensive. Okay, I got checked in. It was super easy. I got my pass, and I've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to go hunt down some coffee. And we'll talk more about what the VIP tour entails while we're on it. But first things first, I know you want to know what I paid for it, which was $525. And that is on the lower end. It's dynamic pricing. So depending on how busy it is, how many spots are sold, that determines the price. And I got it at one of the lowest. So the $525 is just for the tour, and then I also needed my ticket, which was $148. But you know, here's the silly part. It's not silly, I get it. But annual pass holders still don't have access to Epic Universe, so we need a ticket. Albeit discounted, we need a ticket as well.
Now this might be the most busiest, loudest portal you have ever visited, all right? Get ready for some very fun things, and let's step right into world of Nintendo. Let's do it.
If you're not an annual pass holder, the regular price for a day ticket is $174 at the gate. So all in, with my VIP tour and my day ticket, the total was $673. But here's what actually ended up pushing me over the edge, and it maybe sounds silly, but I was really on the fence. But then I Googled what people paid for Taylor Swift Eras tour tickets. I'm not a Swiftie, I'm not a Swiftie, but I didn't catch the tour. But the average price was, I think, $1,500 or $1,600. And you know, this is my Taylor Swift. It's the first time going to a brand new park that there's a lot to be excited about. If I was ever going to splurge, I decided this was the time. So triggers were pulled. Okay, the first thing we did was Minecart Madness. That was my second time because I did it this morning during early park admission. It's so rough. Like, it's really rough. I don't know if it's just like the physics of the vertical, like tilted track thing. It's like, because its design is different. I don't know why it's so rough, but it's so rough. It's cool though. It's really rough. Okay, so Jeffrey, what do we actually get? Well, let's run through the list. First of all, you get 4-ish hours with a guide. You get front-of-the-line access to all of the big stuff. And then you get single-use express pass to use for the rest of the day on all of the rides that allow it. Plus a 10% off on merch as well. Now, what you don't get, it does not include your park ticket, as I mentioned. It also does not include any food or drinks, and there is no food on this tour. And that matters more than it sounds, because in a non-private group, if you wander off to grab a snack, you are now burning everyone's VIP time. Because if one person stops for a snack, the whole group has to take a break. That's usually 20 to 30 minutes for everyone to get in line, order their food, get their food. So they highly discourage you from planning to eat on the tour. Plan to eat before and then eat after. Don't be that snack person, because you're going to get dirty looks from the rest of the people in your group. And just like you saw, in a group, you ride what the group rides. I was pretty worried, honestly, to see that 2 pretty small children were in our group. I was worried we were going to have to spend a lot of our time on the kiddie rides, but that wasn't the case. The parents were there for the parents and the kids, but they very much wanted to ride the thrill rides as well, so it worked out fine. Private tours are the way to fix that, but they also cost the same as a small car. Okay, so it is 11:30. It's been an hour and a half, and we've already done 4 rides. We just got off the Constellation Carousel, and then we also did Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Don't worry, we won, obviously. One thing to note, this is the non-private tour. So the private tours are a lot more expensive. I mean, this is expensive, but the private tours are even way more expensive. So, one potential downside is that you're with other people. So you just have to know that the guide's going to do what's best for the whole group. And we're only a group of 6, but we do have a couple of really small children. So, I would not probably have elected to use this time for Constellation Carousel, but the rides for the kids are limited. So we did, which is fine. It's just something to be aware of. Now, if it's a private tour, you do whatever you want within reason. Real quick, if you're into adventure travel or theme park content from a dude who barely knows what he's doing, I heard that subscribing is the move. Okay, now this is where the money started to feel worth it for me, because some of Epic's biggest rides, like Minecart Madness, Battle of the Ministry, they don't even have a regular express line. So there's no option other than the regular standby line. But the VIP tour just walks you straight onto them. You cut every line. If there is an express line, you also cut that line. You're literally escorted directly onto the ride. So I felt like it was worth it for me for many things, but first and foremost, our guide, Alyssa, she was amazing. She was tracking the estimated standby line time at every ride that we rode. She was also tracking how much time we ended up waiting in line. Because although you get walked directly onto the ride, you may have to wait for a train or two to pass. It's not always feasible for you to just pop right onto the ride. So in total, we waited 46 minutes to ride all of those rides we rode. We waited a total of 46 minutes over those 4 hours. If we had waited in the standby lines and the estimated wait time for the regular standby line had been accurate, we would have waited a total of 11 hours and 42 minutes to ride those same rides. That alone, right there, made it worth it for me. I hate lines. I always get express pass or fast lane, whatever it is at whatever park. I despise waiting in lines. And that dramatic of a reduction of wait time, absolutely worth it for me. Would I do it every time? No. But my first time in a park, absolutely. If I had only one day and wanted to make sure I got as much packed into one day as possible, absolutely worth it. Who should skip it? Well, this isn't as obvious as it should be, but anyone who can't afford it. It is not the make or break for your day at Universal Epic Universe. You can still have an amazing day. If you're staying at a property that's a Universal property, or you have an annual pass, you get early park admission, so you already can get into the park an hour earlier than everyone else. You also can buy Express Pass, which does not get the same reduction in time, but it is still a significant reduction in wait time for the rides, and that is more reasonably priced. It is still pricey, but nowhere near the VIP tour. So if it's out of your budget, you can absolutely have a freaking magical day at Epic Universe without having to do the VIP tour. It's also not right for you if you're not okay with going with the flow, because you will be partnered and grouped with strangers, and at the end of the day, the guide has to make everybody happy. So it worked out for me, but with those 2 kids in my group, there was a real risk that half the rides that we were going to ride would have been kiddie rides, and I wouldn't have been able to be upset about that. That is just part of the non-private tour. If that really matters to you, either skip the VIP tour or extra splurge for the private tour. You also shouldn't do this tour if you're really excited about meet and greets or want them to be a part of your tour, because they are not. They only focus on the rides, and they always prioritize, from what I can ascertain, they always prioritize the rides that are most difficult to get onto with the longest wait times. So because we're just a group of 6, we're moving pretty fast. So we had time to stop for a Butterbeer. Why is it so good? So the biggest perk of this tour is that you're basically walked straight onto all the rides. We don't even wait in the express pass line. So it's a really amazing way to get the most difficult to ride rides in 4 hours. And then for the rest of the day, we get Express Pass, one-time use Express Pass. So we can use Express Pass on each ride in Epic Universe one more time today. So, Epic Universe VIP Tour for $673. Was it worth it? Yes. For me, unquestionably. It was my first visit. I only had one day. I'm an enthusiast. I saved nearly 12 hours of standing in lines. Like, that's incredible. And that 4 hours got me on almost everything I wanted to ride, including the stuff that Express can't even touch. So I personally have zero regrets. Would I do it again? I don't know. I think it would depend. If the park was really, really busy and I was maybe showing the park to somebody else and they were interested, I would absolutely join them. But I don't think I would need to do it again for the same park. If they open a new park, absolutely. Okay, it's my first mac and cheese cone ever. It's basically half a loaf of bread with mac and cheese in it. Oh my god. I mean, obviously, how could you go wrong? I can't remember what it's called, but this is the white ale. It's, you can only get it in this portal, I'm pretty sure. Yes. But it's also not for everybody, and I'm not going to pretend that it is. You know, skip it if you're on a budget. Skip it if you are already staying on site and you have early park entry. And maybe skip it if you are on a budget and you have small children. I was paired with a couple with 2 small little girls, and they were all lovely. The kids were great. We had a blast, but that's a lot of money to spend for those 2 kids to only get to ride a couple rides. They weren't big enough for the other rides. And then the other bigger rides, only one of the adults could ride the ride because the other person had to stay with the kids while we rode. So if money is no object, go for it. But just know that the smaller children who can't ride a lot of the rides are really going to get a reduced return from this. And this is not a cheap tour. But I don't know, would you spend this amount of money? Would you spend more? Would you spend less? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear. And I also host group trips around the world. We have Iceland, Costa Rica coming up. We've gone to Nepal. We've gone hiking in Patagonia. So check the link in the description below to check out the trips I currently have available. All right, see you all next time. Y'all, thanks for watching that video. That was sweet of you. If you want to watch another one, click here. If you want to join one of my group trips, click here. Okay, want to see something pretty?